All right, pick 15. Washington Commanders traded down from 11 with that previous trade with the Saints. The Saints went up to go get Chris Olave. And the football team, now the Commanders, it still says football team on my screen, and I read it, Sam. That's what happened. Jahan Dotson. I just went full Tony Romo.
Yikes.
I don't know, Jim. Maybe you should have just taken Olave, but you get the extra picks. You get Jahan Dotson. We didn't love Dotson for us, but I'll say this. The boss loves him, Chris, right? And Chris, who also loved Kenyon Green, who just went ahead of Dotson. Chris loved Dotson's feel for the game, his hands. I mean, he can make spectacular catches, but I don't think the other stuff stands out. Is he one of the best? Is he the best route runner? Is he the best contested catch guy? Is he the best after the catch? Is he the fastest? No, not to any of those things, but he's a good, solid, all-around receiver.
And look, if you're of a younger persuasion, you might think of Chris as just the guy that announces Sunday Night Football. Right?
No.
That guy is a former All-Pro, right? Pro Bowl, wide receiver.
NFL. Just say NFL receiver to be safe.
For the Cincinnati Bengals. That guy went to Super Bowls as a wide receiver. He was a legit player at that position.
Like George Foreman didn't just, make a grill.
Right.
George Foreman was a boxer, too.
That guy did things before grilling chicken.
Chris was a receiver. He knows receivers. He appreciates the way Jahan Dotson plays football.
Now, look, stylistically, I don't know if there's much similar between Chris and Jahan Dotson.
No, not at all.
But this isn't just some old guy who sits at a booth talking about football. This is a guy that was playing the game at that position. So his opinion does carry some weight. And look, I will happily be the first to acknowledge, since he's gone this high, that there are people like Chris, and it's he's not alone. There are a lot of people out there that love Jahan Dotson. And when I did my wide receiver rankings and Jahan Dotson was nowhere near the top 5, there were people that were in my mentions being like, oh, no, Dotson, immediately invalid, right? Opinion, null and void.
Well, they were right.
Well, at least in terms of where the Commanders stand, right? Maybe the Commanders were in my mentions. Maybe it was their burner. But evidently there are people there that love Jahan Dotson. I'm simply not one of them. To me, he might have the best hands in the draft. I think it's between him and George Pickens from Georgia. He does have spectacular hands, great ability to just catch the ball, period. Like in traffic, understands it, just plucks the ball out of the air. Great at that. I don't know if he's great at anything else. And, I think he's good at a lot of things, understands where he should be, gets to the right place, but, he tested better than I think you see. He actually ran a reasonably decent 40 time. I didn't really see that on tape. Doesn't seem to have the play strength necessarily. Doesn't, I think, run amazing routes. I don't love anything that he does. And I think there's a lot of players out there that bring an awful lot more to the table than Dotson and his great hands.
It's kind of like how we described the guard pick of Kenyon Green. I mean, it's just solid all around. Even when you look at, say, Dotson's production and his numbers against draft classes since 2014, middle of the pack, separation against single coverage, middle of the pack, yards after the catch. The one thing that does stand out though is the hands, right? The drop rate is excellent. Not a big contested catch guy. So I mean, there's stuff to like about Dotson. Solid all around. I mean, whatever generic term you want to throw it in there.
Yeah.
Dependable. I think that's him. Now, is that enough, by the way? So you've got Terry McLaurin on the other side. And think about this. We talk a lot about the need to have 3 and 4 receivers in today's NFL. And I don't think your first round receiver has to be A.J. Brown. It has to be a number 1 receiver. But I also have to, the A.J. Brown trade just happened like right after the Dotson deal, right? And I have to think, like, in the same division, the Eagles went and they paid for A.J. Brown. And you got Jahan Dotson, who's like a nice 2. I think he's a nice number 2, a nice complementary piece to Terry McLaurin, who you're going to be paying soon. And that's fine, but I guess it's just unexciting maybe for the middle of the first round.
Yeah, and look, if you read a lot of Jahan Dotson scouting profiles, you're going to hear speculation that at the next level, he might be kind of limited to a slot-only player, right? Because he doesn't necessarily have the ability to win consistently on the outside against press coverage, all these kinds of things. And look, I will be first in the queue to argue that that is actually a more valuable thing than people think it is, right? Even if a guy is limited to being just a slot receiver, that might be worth a mid-first round pick. But generally, the NFL doesn't agree with that, right? So when Washington is picking him in the middle of the first round, they don't think he is just a slot receiver.
And they have Curtis Samuel, who probably is just a slot receiver.
Right.
We've tried the outside receiver deal with Curtis Samuel.
So when they're drafting him at this position, they don't believe that that's the case. And if it is, it's immediately not a good pick because that's not where the NFL values that.
I'll just say this, too. He's got some snap to his routes. He can get open pretty well. A complementary piece to Terry McLaurin. And the bottom line is I think the thought process of getting playmakers for Carson Wentz, I'm behind that 100%. I just don't know about Dotson at this point in the draft. We'll see what else Washington does. Overall, though, love that trade down as well, accumulating those extra picks in the first round.